this here is the CX-30S HD first-person view quadcopter. It's got its own monitor, 720p camera, and it is actually a lot smaller than I expected, which I will show you in comparison a little bit later. But let's go ahead and open this up and do its review. I've unpacked the drone and I've shown you here the controller right next to the controller that I have for my Syma. It's basically about the same size, but the main difference you'll see is it comes with its own LCD monitor, and it is a 5.8 gigahertz transmission with multi-channel, so that is pretty good, especially at the price point, which is just under $100. But here's the helicopter itself, and when you look at it next to the Syma drone, the X5C, it is about half the size, and the propellers are much less than half the size. They might be like a fifth of the size. It also comes with a card to record your video. Pop that out for you there. It's a 2 gigabyte card, and of course the little adapter so you can plug it into your computer through a USB port, and then your standard parts package with the spare propellers and the charger, and then it's kind of nice they give you some mini screwdrivers to work with. So some of the other features that I do like about this drone is it has an external antenna, which I'll show you here. You can actually pop it out of this holder and hang it down in different directions to give you a little bit better signal if needed, or you can just leave it in the holder. They recommend that you leave it out and hanging down, but I've had no issues with holding it, leaving it in the holder there. So it also has a battery that is very nice. It has the same connector on it as my X5C, and it's the same exact form factor. So if you have an X5C and batteries for the X5C, you can use those batteries with this, which is, like I said, very nice. But one of the things I do not like is this battery cover is very inconvenient. It's a very tight fit to get that on there, and it just hangs by this little rod. So I mainly just leave it off. As you saw, the battery fits in there pretty tight, so I haven't had any issues with it falling out. It's also got a 720p camera. It's actually pretty good for being only 720p. You get pretty good high definition out of it. And then it also auto links with the controller, so you don't actually have to move the controller stick up and down like you do with the Syma to get it to connect. You just turn it on and it auto links up. Same thing with the video. You might have to adjust your channel, but it remembers the channel, and once you're on it, it basically just brings up the video transmission automatically. Now, some of the other things that are not so nice about this drone is these propellers are very soft and they break pretty easy. Actually, I already did break one of them during a test flight, which was in very low wind, but I had to go into high-speed mode. And while in high-speed mode, when I let off the controller, the wind took control of the drone, and it nicked the edge of my fence, and despite the blade covers that are on here, it snapped that propeller right in half, which I've obviously already replaced. But these blade guards are also kind of a joke. I mean, they're very flimsy. They do not extend above the blade at all, so if you bump into anything like on the ceiling, they will scuff up your blades. And these also bend pretty easy, so a couple of times I've had to bend them back out of the blade so it's not bumping in. But it's one of my main concerns about this drone is those blades. And also, you'll see I've already lost some of these rubber pads. There's 2 of them still on there, which I was able to find laying on my carpet, but they pop off really easy. They're very small, and so as a result you will probably lose those, in which case you have no cushioned landing. You can hear it sounds pretty soft when you hit that side, but this side, not so much. So it kind of drops down heavy and not so good for these small drones for them to be hitting the ground that hard. As with the Syma, it's got these very soft, flexible pads, landing pads, so when you drop this thing, it's got no issues whatsoever. And interestingly, even though this thing is about half the size, it weighs as much, if not more, than the Syma. So you would think that you might get pretty good wind resistance, but as you'll see in a test video for flying this thing, it does not get very good wind resistance. It actually is blown around by the wind quite easily, which is how I broke that propeller that I mentioned. Another thing that I found a little inconvenient is this thing seems to be out of balance from the start. You have to hit the trim up about 10 times to get it to actually have a good hover without it drifting back towards you. And it does not remember those trim settings, so every time I turn it on I actually have to retrim it. And when you trim it up that much, obviously you're kind of affecting how well you can control it, because you can't go forward much more than you can your maximum trim. So it obviously affects the forward speed being out of balance like that. It also might be one of the reasons why it's not so good in the wind, but I think that's mainly to do with these tiny propellers, which I have seen to be a little bit more common on drones these days, because this is actually not my first-person drone that I've tried over the holiday season. First one I tried was a drone called the U-845. It was, I believe, by UDI, and it looked like a UFO with 6 blades, but it had horrible, horrible range. They told me that it was probably defective, wanted to send me a new one, but I just wasn't happy with it, especially since it had these same soft blades. But it did have great flight characteristics. It actually flew like a UFO, being round, but unfortunately, with a range of about 25 feet and only Wi-Fi transmission for the video, it was basically useless outside. It was an indoor-only drone. So, being that was the issues I was having, I went ahead and tried this instead. And I can say this one has a much better range, as good as the X5C, which I can actually fly that thing all the way down my street and not lose control of it. This one, however, it has the video transmission as well, and you will start to see that flicker a little bit, but it's still a very good range for the video transmission. So at the price point of just under $100, I mean, you really can't beat a 5.8 gigahertz transmission. But like I said, no wind resistance makes it very difficult to play with outside if you live someplace that has average wind speeds. Coming up, I will show you the test videos of these both flying outside in a very light wind, about 5-mile-an-hour gusts at most. You'll see that this thing does not do very well. It struggles quite a bit. At one point, I'm trying to fly forward, and I am at max thrust, and it basically just sits there like it's hovering until the wind dies down, and then it flies forward a little bit. The X5C, on the other hand, great flight characteristics. Even in a moderate wind, like 10-15 miles per hour, you can still control this thing. You'll get some drift, obviously, but it does not have any trouble fighting through the wind. Whereas this little guy, you're not going to go anywhere in a 10-mile-an-hour wind. It's going to blow it whatever direction the wind's blowing. So you'll see those videos coming up here in just a moment. Here's a test flight of the CX-30 outdoors. It's a very moderate wind. You can see the trees are not blowing around much at all. So immediately on takeoff, you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble keeping it straight. It's being blown backwards across my yard, and I'm having a little trouble controlling it, so I'm coming back in for a landing, and I'm going to try this again. So I'm back up into the air, and again, it's trying to push me back across my yard. So I'm going to try and get it turned directly towards the wind and try to fly into the wind. And you're going to see here, it actually just like hovers. Even at full throttle forward right there, I'm hovering. So I then was able to get the wind to die down a second, and I came back in for a landing because it's not working even in this light wind. It's just not good. So here's another video of it with from an outside perspective. I'm trying to keep it within the middle of the camera's frame here, but you can see the wind really makes it move from left to right and up and down quite dramatically. So it's very difficult to control, and I basically just have to drop it into my hand here because it just wasn't working. So here's another video indoors this time. You can see my dog on the couch, and a nice little Star Wars video for you to watch, but you get much better flight characteristics, obviously, without the wind. So, I mean, it's not like this drone doesn't fly well. It is a little bit sensitive on the vertical control, but other than that, it's not too difficult. Have a little bit of a trim issue here. I'm drifting to the left, so I get that trimmed up, but other than that, you can see it's very stable flight. It's nice, smooth, clear video. Doesn't bounce around a lot. And as long as it's a well-lit situation, you're probably going to get pretty clear video like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in here for a nice smooth in and out video so you can see that you can get very good control over it. And then I'll get a nice smooth landing here. And ultimately,
Indoors, you're fine, but outdoors, it's not so good, you know. So what really is the point of a drone that you can't take outdoors, especially in first person view? Now, to give you some perspective, this is the X5C, same day. It's a very mild wind out there, so you can see I'm very high in the sky. I'm getting very little wind effect at all. A little bit drift backwards, but I can fly directly into the wind here. I'm coming up to my fence and turn back around with the wind at my back now, and I'll get going real fast as I zip across the yard. And then again, I can just stop immediately, come back. There's no issues whatsoever. The wind doesn't really affect the X5C too much. You can even go in about 10, 15 mile an hour wind. Now you can see the video is not quite as clear on the X5C, but this was a couple years old and it was only about $50. So it was a great choice for my entry level drone. But the CX-30S, other than having first person view, it really doesn't have anything over the X5C. So now I'm going to go ahead and leave you with some of what I think are the pros and cons of the CX-30S and let you make your own educated choice as to whether or not this is the drone for you.